I've said quite a few times that the writers are very clever with the ideas that they actually put into these stories. So putting the growth serum that we saw back in season 2 with the giant reptiles to put in a seed vault out in the Arctic, that's smart. Just make sure that the growth serum doesn't get to any of the seeds and what have you, because that would cause a few problems. As is the case with Gladys, which means, yes, Ned Tedford is back. Although, I will grant the writers this. This is possibly the least irritating the character has ever been. I mean, yeah, he's still Ned. He still has his quirks and eccentricities, but if his annoyance factor was up at a 10 over the last 2 seasons, he's down to a 3 or 4. They've toned him way down, and I thank the writers for that, because, you know, I like Kayvan Novak as a voice actor. He's just amazing as Brains. Just a very talented guy, but I just don't like Ned Tedford. I just find the character to be frustratingly annoying, so I'm glad that they've scaled that back and they've made it a lot more less grating, for lack of a better word. It's the first time we've seen John in a field mission. Actually, it's been a very, very, very long time, because I think the season 2 episode with the air scrapers, I'm not sure, I can't remember offhand what the technical term for the machine and facility is for purifying the air, but it's the first time we've seen him not only leave Thunderbird 5, but actually come down to Earth. So that in itself was amusing, and the only 2 Thunderbirds that were brought into use were Thunderbird 5 and Shadow, respectively. So there was no, you know, not even Thunderbird 1. But then again, I think given what went on, I think, you know, this is one of those occasions you didn't need Thunderbirds 1 or 2. And to see EOS actually being given field experience and not just being used as an assist, an aid, whichever your preference, to assist John on Thunderbird 5, and actually see her being used in a mobile capacity, being downloaded into this handheld device, that's actually quite inventive on their behalf. So to see that done. Now, when she comes down with a virus, I was expecting her to go full-on rogue and be like the EOS that she was once before, just being a complete rogue and just causing havoc, but it's just, no, she was just under the weather. You know, just had a cold. So yeah, writing a very nice self-contained story for this week. It did involve the Chaos Crew, but I felt like after you had Havoc triggering the poison gas release as a security measure, their presence was kind of little to none. It was more just about getting Ned out of there and Gladys being giant size, but then he had her seeds kept in storage just so they could bring her back. But, you know, not to be that guy, but that plant sadly met her demise, and it's basically, you know, Gladys 2, for lack of a better word, because it might have been her seeds, but it's not the same. It's not the same geranium, you know. So, but yeah, writing, the characters were used to their full extent, and yeah, it was just a decent story this week. Well, as for voice acting, well, the regulars in Thomas Brodie Sangster and Angel Colby nail it in spades, as they so often do. As most will remember, I have been heavily critical of Teresa Gallagher in the last 2 seasons, where whenever she would do like bit parts or guest characters coming in, she would be phoning it in. As EOS, she's selled into the character perfectly now, to the point where, you know, I don't need to give any criticism to what she's been doing. And even being able to sell how she would sound, you know, if a person were unwell, but obviously it's an artificial intelligence being unwell. I can't find any fault. She knocked it out of the park. The Chaos Crew are improving. I'll grant them that, because I've been heavily critical so far this season with the way that the characters either just sound like the voice actors are putting in these really generic one-note Saturday morning cartoon villain type voices, or they're just phoning it in. But they sound like they're actually starting to get comfortable with them now, so that's something. And Mark Silk as Captain Rigby, he's sounding less and less wooden now, because when he originally came in the season 3 two-parter, his dialogue and his delivery, it just like, Now he actually sounds like he's trying. So I'll grant him that. That was good. So voice acting, like I say, there's a lot of improvement, but the regulars, they do as they do. They just knock another home run out of the park. So that was good. As for animation, well, everyone knows my thoughts and opinions with regards to animation for Thunderbirds Are Go. You may as well just rewatch a mission from previous seasons. And I have had little to no complaint with regards to the animation from Weta Workshop. And the winter setting is some of the best I've ever seen. It ranks up there with Recharge and Virgil's birthday episode from season 1. And Gladys looking giant-sized, I was very impressed with that animation. The only thing I could mark it down for was the animation for the gas. It could have done with some improvement. It just looked a little... When I say cartoony, usually when they have gas in animations, they try to make it look like similar to what they did in the Pyramid episode from season 1, where it's more like a mist and not so much of a colourful mist. So yeah, that's the only really thing I can mark down for animation. But other than that, animation was solid as ever. And for my final thought this week, I haven't really got anything to add. I think it was just a well-written story. They made the use of what the setting, the characters, the vehicles, and the plot device for what they had to work with. And like I say, Ned has been greatly improved upon as a character. I mean, he's still irritating, but it's that sort of irritating where I'm like, okay, dude, just turn it down. Rather than, okay, stop. You know, it's not at that level now, finally. I mean, season 1, I couldn't stand him. Season 2, I'm like, oh, not you again. It's like, why? But then again, you know, we're not likely to see Langstrom Fischler, or Francoise Lemaire for a while, thankfully. And those characters are equally as annoying. With Ned, he genuinely wants to help. You know, I will grant him that. He has sincere intentions, he just happens to be a clumsy oaf. So, you know, that's just the way the character's written. So, yeah, I don't have anything to add for this week. Very good. It was a self-contained story, but it wasn't. It was leading up with issues with the Chaos Crew, but they're kind of secondary to what the mission was, and that was just to get Ned out of there. And, you know, just a further evolution of John's character, and by extension Eos. And yeah, I got nothing bad to say about this week. I have some minor criticisms, but nothing to the point where I would say, you know, don't watch this episode, because I don't think there's one bad episode of Thunderbirds Are Go yet. But I doubt there ever will be, because ITV Studios know what they're doing, because they know how much people love this franchise, and they just don't want to repeat mistakes of the past. No comment. But yeah, that's it from this week. Until next week, see you next mission, and good night from the night.